My cat will stay with us till the public, but when we go into executive, I'll kick him out.
All right, good. And you'll have to introduce him too.
Right.
Over my shoulder
Member,
watching.
Oh yeah, I see him now. He was hidden until you told me.
What do you think?
Hmm.
Is that a yes vote or a no vote?
He's abstaining.
Miss Wilton, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Is it acceptable to use my little AI note taker app for this meeting since it is a public meeting?
Certainly.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
All right, Tracy, I sent you the link.
Abstaining.
Okay,
all right, we're ready?
not yet.
Oh,
Let me get it posted. Okay, let me go verify that it's working. Okay, you're good to go.
okay. So, meeting of the Medical Psychology Advisory Committee on July 18, 2025, called to order at 1:05 p.m. Introduce the participants. Warren Globe here.
Kenneth Rochelle here.
Glenn Alley here.
Darla, Mike.
Anybody else present?
Darla Burnett, present.
Okay, good. And we still don't have Rob here, but that's okay. And Dr. Collada, Ms. Wilton, Tracy, all also present. Okay, so do we have any public comments at this time, Van?
None at all, sir.
Okay. So on the agenda, the first item on the agenda is CE broker. And I was just going to say that even though we still have a few little bumps, it's definitely become more user friendly. Either psychologists, medical psychologists have gotten used to CE broker, or they've gotten used to us, one or the other. But this year I had many fewer inquiries than I normally do. The only thing that we changed this year on CE broker, and that caused a few little blips, was the reporting of the BLS certification. And that confused some people, both MPs and CE broker personnel. Some people were told that their CE broker, their BLS certification was not current because it hadn't been done within a year, where the certification is good for 2 years. We got that straightened out. Another problem was that some people were told that they couldn't report the hours for their BLS certification, and again report their hours for their cumulative CE requirements, and we got that straightened out. So it really is getting to be a nice thing. I think most people really are finding it very helpful in terms of being able to load on their certificates and that kind of thing and track them. The only thing that I thought of after I put this on the agenda was newly licensed MPs are required to take the MP rules course before their first renewal. And we don't have a way to track that I'm aware of.
CE broker can do it for us.
Okay. Maybe just a spot on there that if this is your first renewal, have you taken and passed the CE law rules course or the MP law rules course?
Basically, what we can do is set it up that we'll send out a notice to everybody, but basically what will happen is if we decide and you want to do it this way, the first renewal after they granted their advanced license, if they haven't taken the DEA course, it will not allow them to renew until they do.
Okay, is that after the advanced course or just after they're licensed as an MP?
Take the license after the MP, right?
That's
No,
what I think.
licensed MPs do not write opioids.
Neither do advanced practice.
Okay, so if y'all don't write opiates, you don't need, in other words, if you don't write Schedule II drugs, do you write any Schedule II drugs at all?
Yes, we do. We prescribe stimulants for ADHD.
Then you're gonna have to take it for Schedule II drugs.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
I think y'all are talking about two different things.
We are
One-
talking about two different things, but while we're on the DEA thing, I think everybody was under the or understood that they did have to take it.
Mhm.
But I don't know about newer people that are being licensed. You know, that rule came out from the DEA, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago. I don't know how long ago it was. But I'm not sure that,
If you're talking about the 8-hour DEA course.
yes.
We don't track that at all, okay?
Okay,
It's
so
not, it has nothing to do with us. You would lose your DEA license or get in trouble with them. We don't track it. We're not involved in it.
okay,
We have a
Okay.
course that says if you are prescribing opioids, and I'm thinking it's Schedule II, but I'll verify that, you have to take a one-time course that the state of Louisiana, we authorize. It's free to take, but it has to be done, it's a 3-hour course. It covers four issues relative to opioids for sure, but if it does, I'll check the law to see if it says opioids or Schedule II, and I'll get back to you on that. But that's really what that has to be done.
And that's after first at first renewal, correct? Whether
And
you,
what I'd like to do, they have to take it, let me say this to you. If they're gonna prescribe these substances, they have to take the course. What happens is we ask everybody to take it before their first renewal. And what happens if they don't take it and they don't request an exemption, okay? If they end up writing it 3 years later, they're gonna get dinged because they wrote it without the required course.
okay,
now, Van, just to help me understand it, is this Louisiana course required in addition to courses that the DEA accepts, those 8-hour courses?
Yes, they are.
Okay. We need to notify people of that if in fact,
we need
Uh,
to do that.
if it's opiates or Schedule II, we need to know. But just to go back to that first part of that, Van, there is that requirement that the newly licensed MPs have to take that rules law course at the time of their first renewal. And so we need to have some way to track that on CE Broker.
We do have a way of tracking that as well, okay? And basically, if they haven't set it up, yeah, I'll talk to Susie about checking all of these. But the way it works for everybody else is, if you have not taken the newly licensed person not taking the law and rules course, they don't get to renew either.
Okay,
I like that.
yeah.
okay. All right, and the next item on the agenda, and this is just to help me understand the procedure for notifying people when they have been awarded either the MP license or the MPAP certificate. We approve the license, which is then sent to the board. But I don't know how the applicant is notified and by whom they're notified and when they're notified. And some people are telling me that it's taken a while. And now I can understand why it would take a while. If we have a meeting, a committee meeting, advisory committee meeting on Friday, and the board is meeting on Monday, it's not going to get there on Monday, and it's going to have to wait till the next board meeting. But I guess what I'm asking, is there a way for us to know the status of their application before the board, after the board is met?
Us as an advisory committee or them as an individual licensee?
Both.
Okay, well.
I would like to know on the advisory committee, because I would like to notify people on the listserv that this person has achieved either a license or advanced certificate. But it's, of course, it's very important.
It's a
for the
matter of
applicant.
public record, first of all, okay? When they get that license, their license status on the webpage will be updated, okay? That's number one. Number two, and Matthew, correct me, I think you're on the meeting.
Mhm.
Matthew, don't we send out when we change or grant a new level license, we send out an email to that person, correct?
Correct. They get notified via email.
So they get notified when the board, after the board processes it, it goes to licensing, licensing then changes it, and the computer sends them an email, and it comes from an lasbme.org address, and it goes to the email that they have said they want their email going to. And so if they sent it to the clerk at the clinic where they work, that's where it goes. If they want it to go to them, they have to say, send my email to me and not to the clerk at the clinic where I work.
Okay. Matthew, can I check with you next week about some people's status, whether they have been awarded the MPAP?
Yes, sir.
Just so they won't keep bothering me.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
You know, I believe all that communication has to and should come from the board. After our last advisory committee meeting, I think within 30 minutes after the committee meeting ended, I get an email from one of the MPAP applicants. How did I do? How did I do? Tell me what I don't want to have to notify them each step of the process. And I didn't respond to him. I think I think they should be notified when they've achieved the license or the certification. And obviously that should come from the board. I don't want to.
Well, again, it's going to happen in a situation where it's going to go from you to the board, and then from the board to licensing to finalize the processing. I don't know how to shorten that, because if the board doesn't meet, then the board doesn't meet. If
Right.
you meet, like if you had business today, it wouldn't get on it might be able to get on the agenda for this month's board meeting. But if you had business next Friday, it wouldn't get on to this month's board meeting. Would have to lay over to the following board meeting, which may or may not be August. But generally what happens is we get the president's approval if it's going to be a problem, and then Matthew and the staff and licensing changes the status, the computer sends out the notice, and the web page is updated so they can check their status.
Are they on the web page before they even are granted an MP license, if they're just an applicant?
No, they are
Okay.
not on the
I didn't think
web
so.
page until they get an application, until they get a status. And we have I'll be happy to pull it up for you. We have for the public a verification of licensure. So
Right, yeah,
they can,
I've seen
that
that. Yeah.
verification of licensure would be there. We do not keep applicants in that spot, but once somebody's application converts to an MP, they would be noticed and listed as an MP. Then when they go to advanced, that would be a change in status that would then go with an email to them, and we change the web page as well.
Okay. I have a feeling that some of these people don't have current email addresses or are sent to some kind of group email, an office email, where it might not even get to them.
And again, we know that, and we are trying desperately to fix that. We ask people not, to use your own email, but again, we send out these emails, and a lot of times people just don't want to read them.
Exactly.
Can I ask a follow-up question to that? So let's say we have an advisory committee meeting and someone does not meet the criteria to move forward to the board for approval, what's the process for alerting them to their, whatever they're missing on their application?
Well, what's happened, or recently, Darla, is that Matthew will notify them that they had certain deficiencies, and he will tell them that they can contact me to discuss those deficiencies. And all of them have, of course, they want to know. So that's how we're handling that.
Okay.
Okay, so the next item, speaking of deficiencies, is trying to get people to understand what qualifies as acceptable CME on their MP/AP application. We've gone through, I think LAMP has gone through workshops. It's been discussed on the listserv numerous times, and we continue to run into problems almost every advisory committee meeting of people who just aren't following the instruction. It has to be continuing education involving medications used for the treatment of psychiatric disorders. And I've had some people come up to me sheepishly and say, oh, I never read that, or I never heard a discussion about it. So I put together a cover sheet that we might add to the application that would precede that portion of the application where they report their CME, sort of a black box warning, if you will, final attempt to get them to understand what we're looking for. And I don't know if any of you had a chance to look at it and want to make any changes to it, or think we should or shouldn't include it in the application.
The only comment I had, Warren, was, so there are some workshops that absolutely talk about psychotropics, but don't have anything in the title that say pharmacology, psychotropic. So do we need to put like a sentence that says, if you feel the title of your presentation doesn't accurately reflect that it covered these, make sure you note that what was covered or something like that to make sure we know those things?
You know, I thought about that, and I've
How can we verify that?
yeah, it gets difficult. I asked one fellow told me, well, I didn't put the entire title on there. I just shortened it, and what he said he shortened was the part that referred to the psychopharmacology part of the. I think it referred to. I don't remember now. It had something to do with gender awareness and in treating in treatment or something like that. And I said, well, send me the complete title of the workshop and the workshop sheet. And when he resubmitted it, he didn't include that. So I don't think it was there. What I have done is I've asked Jesse Lambert to instruct LAMP presenters, if it is CME and it's psychopharmacology, to somehow include that in the title. If the title is insomnia, put treatment of insomnia with hypnotics or something like that we know, instead of, okay, could this be CBT? Could this be sleep hygiene? We'll get in that guessing game again. I think we can have some say-so in how LAMP presents their workshops, but we can't control how other people do theirs.
Correct.
And I think
Warren, Glenn, Darla, Chris, tell me, is there a organization that represents just you all in the field that would be accrediting these kind of courses?
Nationally,
No,
no, no.
All right. Well, the best I can do for you is we can do one of two things, and I'd like to start with step one, and that is take your cover sheet, and if you want to redesign the form itself, we can. And then when somebody applies for the advanced, we'll send them that cover sheet with all of the instructions and the form. And that way that may expedite it for them and standardize it for everybody. I'm not in a position, I would love to, but I'm just got so much going on with computerizing other areas, putting that online, and it's going to be very difficult for the reporters to do it, but they can enter it online, and then it's going to be easier for you to read it. But let's put that down on something that's way low on our priority, but let's get what you want done quickly. And the only other thing I think we have to decide is I do not remember, and so I'll have to refresh my memory. Are we going to let those lookups of drug use on the up-to-date count as hours?
That's a little further down this agenda.
Okay.
You know, I think what it's going to boil down to is that the applicants are going to have to work to choose courses that are not ambiguous.
yeah, that's what I would promote.
Right. You know the old saying, you can lead the horse to water, right?
Yeah,
That's all we can do.
I would
And
say start here and see what kind of conflicts might arise, and it may not be any. They may self-correct, like choosing those that have clear titles.
yeah, I think that's really what it's going to boil down to. But I would like to include this in the application as a cover sheet for that segment of the application.
If you would send it to me, Warren, we'll get it dressed up, and that way when anybody applies for it, the computer will send them the forms.
Okay, good deal. Okay, next item is, we talked about this last time, removing the references to psychological technicians, psychometricians in our law. Right now, the law, as you recall, requires reporting and registering those technicians with the board. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think LAMP has signed off on deleting that from the law. Is that correct? Does anyone know?
Yes.
I think I was told that. And I think no one on the committee had any objection to removing that from the law.
No,
So the other, and this got left off of the agenda, Van, and that's probably why you brought it up. The other change that we had talked about was changes to the CE requirements, particularly that up-to-date organization. You know, I have a little bit of trouble identifying one organization that's doing that, because I have a feeling there are others out there too that do similar kinds of things, because it's a money-making deal. You pay them $500 and then you can click on a drug and click right off, and you earn half hour of CE. Probably, I figured you could probably rack up about 10 to 15 hours of CE in less than 10 minutes if you're just clicking drugs. So one way around that is to not allow any online CE less than 1 hour. And I'm just throwing this out there. We don't have to decide today, but we need to start thinking about, are we going to continue to allow this?
so I see where you're going. I'm looking at the applicant that we have to review today, and he has several 0.5 hours, some of them from NEI, which I know that 0.5 hour is not simply clicking and reading something like up to date, that you probably are spending about 30 minutes doing that. But then you also have on the same application, the up to date, the 0.5, which
Yeah.
is point and click kind of thing. So I'm not sure how I feel about saying across the board, getting rid of the 0.5s.
Yeah, you're right. It's sort of like throwing out the baby with bathwater, but
Mhm.
I don't know another way to,
I guess my other question would be, so we did check and up to date and all of those programs like that are giving AMA approved CME.
for category one.
Yeah.
That is
So I
correct.
mean, how do we get into the business of mediating that at all?
Mhm.
Well, I guess the real question is, when you all set this up historically, there was really a very little online CME. It was all by in-person courses, okay?
Predominantly, yeah.
Is that what you really still want them to do, number one? And if it isn't, then we have to figure out how to address that, you know, modification in the new environment of lots of online CMEs.
Mhm.
Again, you know, the goal here is to make sure that they're properly educated. And when you have somebody that would take, and we saw it, take benzodiazepam and do 14 of those and call it, you know, 7 hours of CME toward that approval, it's really not the intent of what you all are trying to do. So we can do it a number of ways. If you want to say all in person, that's fine with us. We can enforce that. Okay. If you don't want that, what we can do is say you can only get one drug class through that particular vendor at a half hour, and they can't repeat, it can't be repeated over and over again.
So
Well, I think we get tremendous blowback if we said all CMEs had to be
correct.
5 in person. That
Yeah.
gets expensive, and there are good online courses.
Correct.
Um,
Also, we're talking about, I want to make sure I'm on the same page here. Are we talking about CMEs that are going towards anyone who's upping their license, or are we talking about
No,
just
not renewing their license. We're talking about the CMEs for advanced.
the application for advanced
Right.
practice? Okay.
Now, you might want to look at, let's say that I just really want to cheat and get 20 hours of CMEs to renew or whatever it is. I could do 40 clicks on benzodiazepam in about 15 minutes and get my 40 hours. And is that what you want? That's what I'm saying. Not let them repeat the same course in the same
Mhm.
period.
Yeah, it's kind of getting closer to, I think, what the issue is.
Yeah, we certainly have to look at this a little bit more closely. Because I don't know that, well, we could restrict to in-person CMEs for advanced practice, that 100 hours, that additional 100 hours has to be in person, okay? But for license renewal, I don't know that we should or can restrict.
No, I'm just talking about advanced.
Mhm.
I think if you want to say, if that's the gold standard to get advanced, it's in person, then we can enforce that. Okay, it's easy. I would have to legally, Ms. Wilton would have to weigh in to tell us if that is something that would be considered arbitrary and capricious and not in the best interest of the public, and we couldn't do it.
Yeah, I think we would have a difficult time restricting that one provider, you know, Update or whatever the name of it is.
Up to date. Mhm.
Yeah, Up to Date or something like that. We'd open ourselves up to a discrimination cause, probably.
Ms. Wilton, how do you feel about the one-time advanced requirement for all of those to be in-person CMEs?
I would defer and only give you legal advice in executive session.
Okay, good enough. We'll do that then.
I'm sorry, Patricia, could you repeat that? I didn't,
I
Okay.
said I'm not comfortable giving you legal advice in public session. Let's do that in executive session.
okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I do kind of lean towards Van's suggestion about, if you see several up-to-dates and it's all the same drug, then that to me is just clearly not what we're needing. If you, but
And I
if-
think we can actually do that. Let me say this to you. CE Broker is evolving. They're picking up AI systems that are going to be able to look at these to make sure they're not the same over and over again. So and that's coming online shortly. So I think we can start the process of thinking about that as well.
that would definitely help. Because even when you look at up-to-date, if you're just perusing these applications and it's easy to see repeats if it's just like benzodiazepines, but some of these titles are long and you could easily miss them, but AI would definitely pick that up.
Well, what we've seen in some applications too is multiple listings of the same medication, sertraline or whatever it is,
Right.
lorazepam.
Yeah, I
have
think that,
4 or 5 of those, but you can also just click on medicines, just one right after the other, and get the same effect. I mean, you're not really learning anything. You're clicking on a medicine and immediately you get half-hour credit.
correct. So if you look, like, here's an example. All of these are up to date. So one title is Geriatric Bipolar Depression, Treatment of Mania and Major Depression. The next line is Vilazodone, drug information. To me, those are two different
Yeah,
things. I don't have up to date, so I don't know, but geriatric bipolar depression, treatment of mania and major depression, seems like there's a lot more content in that than it would be in just Vilazodone drug information.
yeah.
Both of them are 0.5 though, in terms of hours.
Yeah, I wish we knew more about it. I tried to get on it to check it, but they won't let you unless you pay the $500 or whatever it is.
Okay, well, let me say this. If you want to do that for next meeting, we have a couple of subscriptions here at the agency. And what I'll do is I'll have I can put it up on the screen and we can look at it just like you're looking at your agenda.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, that would be helpful.
Okay.
Okay. All right, the next item on the agenda is just a reminder that of our next 2 meetings, September the 19th and November 21st. The November 21st meeting is actually the Friday before Thanksgiving week. And I thought maybe there were people that might be leaving to go somewhere and wondered if we might change that to the previous Friday. And Jacinta looked into it for us, but that previous Friday is already booked for another advisory committee meeting. So we're going to have to keep that date of November 21st. And we'll just hope we can get a quorum if we need to meet on that date. These dates are pending necessity of a meeting. If there's nothing going on, we don't have to meet, but those are the dates that we have blocked out. Okay, and any questions or comments about that? Okay, the last item on the agenda is the GLP-1 medications. This was on the agenda last advisory committee meeting. And Van pointed out that there are an unusual number of ER visits from people having side effects from GLP medications. And Van, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I think you said the board was looking at that. And I got to wondering after the meeting, and maybe I didn't understand you completely, is the board going to adopt some policy on that, or where's the board going with it?
Well, in the new obesity rules, we are still requiring that the GLP medication be non-generic, it be brand named, so that it is DEA approved. There are DEA allowed GLPs that have been coming out during the
FDA, right?
shortages, but they
FDA,
were not DEA approved. Some of the generics are DEA approved.
FDA, right?
FDA, I'm sorry. Please,
Yeah, good, thank
I
you.
apologize. I've been in a word salad morning. I apologize.
Too many acronyms.
Yeah. So yeah, the FDA has allowed, they call it FDA allowed, but the problem is that they're mixing and matching salt and they're not getting the proper results. And so we're sticking to the guns in the obesity world treatment that is what's going on. Now, my question to you is, what is the reason that an MP would be prescribing GLP-1s?
Well, and that's my concern. You know, the GLPs have no indication for any kind of psychiatric disorder. So one, they would be using it off-label. And two, in my opinion, this is my opinion, we don't have the training to prescribe those medications.
Well,
And three,
I respectfully agree with you.
and three, I worry about people seeing these sort of anecdotal things that, oh, it helps with alcoholism, or it's neuroprotective for Alzheimer's disease, or I even saw one that now they think it's good for depression. So none of these are controlled studies, but I can see people, some people, most probably not, but I can see a few people saying, oh, okay, I want to get on that gravy train. I would like for MPs not to be prescribing it, but that's just me.
I think probably currently an MP would probably argue that they would use it for managing weight gain side effects from psychotropics. Is probably what I would guess would be the argument on the pro side.
But I don't think MPs should be doing that. I think the prescriber should be doing that.
There is a middle ground if you want to look at it, and that is, if that's the real benefit for the MP is to treat the weight gain side effects, then we could simply say, if you're treating with GLP-1s to address weight gain side effects, you must follow the obesity rules of the board, and we can put that as part of your rules and as we modify it. I think the other side of the coin is we probably could say that MPs should not be prescribing medications that are not directly related to the modification of psychiatric behavior or enhancement of those or treatment of those diseases. And GLP-1 would be off-label for any of the uses that Warren alluded to, or to my knowledge, any of the uses for the things that you treat, whether it be depression or anything else.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you could stick to that, because then once you go off-label, I think you guys are in worse trouble than we are, okay? But again, because we would, if we got a complaint for somebody that was off-label, we tell doctors how to properly use off-label drugs. And it's a bit of a documentation issue. And look, we wouldn't be able to treat pediatric oncology patients if it wasn't for off-label use. But they get very clear consultations and advice and documentation in their chart as to what's going on. It would be a burden to impose that on people, but again, I think if you limit it to medications that are used to treat mental illness, maybe that's the best way to do it.
Do we know of anyone a medical psychologist who's asking if they can use these, or we're just trying to be preemptive in talking about this?
Well, mostly preemptive, although I saw something on the listserv a while back that indicated to me that this person was planning on using them.
Mm. We did have a lamp presenter. I think it was a family physician that
Yeah.
presented just on these. So that might have stirred some interest.
I wasn't present for that, but I did listen to the virtual presentation, and he wasn't as cautionary as I would have liked for him to be. He said at several points, "Oh, you guys probably know a lot more about this than I do." And I thought, no, don't be saying that. Please don't be saying that.
I anticipate that it's going to become more of an issue with managing obesity secondary to like second generation antipsychotics and
Mm.
some antidepressants. I think that that's probably coming. I think it if it continues to be as popular as it is in the world of obesity, then I think it's not a stretch to say that it's going to jump into the side effect management arena.
Well, and I think at some point there may become some psychiatric indications
There may be.
for the drug that received FDA approval. But right now, we don't have that. We don't have the studies for that.
And there are other alternatives that can be used. So,
Sure.
yeah.
Yeah. So, and I'll ask the committee after I ask you, Van, but is it appropriate for us to say at this point that MP should not be prescribing GLP-1 medications until the board develops its obesity guidelines?
I don't know, I mean, but then that really, what I would say is you all would have to follow the obesity rules of the board if you're treating for weight gain relative to as a secondary effect. See, historically, the way the law was written, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding is you all would be working with a physician, primary care physician, and you would be managing the medications around the mental health issues and coordinating with them what are the medicines that they were taking so that there was no cross reactivity or inappropriate problems as a result of the cross reactivity. It was never, I thought, the intention to treat any of the other healthcare problems of that patient that would be the normal purview of the primary care physician. You were only treating the mental health issues of that patient. Am I wrong in that interpretation?
Well, not necessarily wrong in the interpretation. One of the things that we moved on to was side effects as a result of the medications that we prescribe, so that the MP be responsible for treating side effects rather than pushing that responsibility on to another physician who didn't even prescribe those medications. So that what we're talking about now is addressing a side effect of medication in the same way we address nausea or other kinds of problems. But at this point in time, I don't know that we can endorse GLP-1s for weight gain associated with antipsychotics. There's no literature on that whatsoever that I know of anyway.
Yeah.
I don't think, I think we would be safe in saying at this time, GLP-1 medications are not indicated for medical psychologists to prescribe. It may come in the future, but it's not here yet.
Now, let's talk about how we would get around that in the law and the rules. Oh, let's see.
Well, the rules say somewhere, or the law says somewhere, that we're not to engage in the treatment of obesity.
Patricia has her hand raised.
Patricia?
Right. I mean, I was going to go there. Obesity is a physical illness, disease that is not usually the purview of a mental health professional. So if you're going to use, if a practitioner wanted to use the hook of, well, this is a side effect of my treatment, I'm treating obesity. At that point, if that were legal and within the rules, they would, in that case, you could absolutely require that they follow the obesity rules that the board is promulgating. And one of the ways you can communicate that is through a statement of position that the board puts out that would communicate the parameters under which this thing we don't really like in the first place, but may not be completely illegal, could be done. And you could make it a rule, and then you could communicate the statement of position as well.
And I want to just throw this out. If you do a quick, look, I don't have a dog in this hunt either way, but if you look at just a quick PubMed search, you're going to see a lot of studies coming out. Even meta-analysis, I'm looking at one that was done in 2023. Effect of GLP-1 agonists on cardiometabolic risk factors among obesity, overweight individuals treated with antipsychotic drug classes. Updated systematic review and meta-analysis of randomized controlled trials.
Yeah, and I see all that popular science. I don't see the medical journals, but I see all the popular science about the effects on addictionology and so forth and so on. So I think it's going to be in your world.
Yeah.
But I think that obesity is a kind of a whole different thing. And if they're using the secondary hook of the drug I gave them to cure their mental issue, cause them to be obese, then they have to follow the obesity rules.
Yeah,
Man, did you just search? Can you are you in the program where you can just search for the word obesity in the MedPsych rules?
I'm sorry, what did you want me to do?
I was just wondering if you can just search and find for the word obesity anywhere in their rules. I don't have.
Oh, yeah, well, I was gonna tell you, I'll do that as soon as I make this one statement. Thank you for asking me. The medical psychologist, according to the rules, may treat side effects of medication used in the treatment of mental illness as defined in the chapter after consultation with the patient's primary attending physician and with the concurrence of that physician. So that's what the rules say about that, but let me search real quick for obesity.
I don't think obesity shows up anywhere.
It doesn't appear anywhere.
Really, well, maybe I'm totally wrong about that, but I thought there was something in there.
But you have obesity spelled wrong in the find.
Oh, I just did OBES.
You did OBSE.
OBSE. Oh.
You need another acronym, Van.
Yeah. All right, here we go. One place, let's see, where is it?
Oh. There it is.
It's
Nope.
observed. So that's the only place it appears. Anything that looks like obesity.
I think if they follow the law as it's written and the rules that to treat a side effect, you have to consult and collaborate first, then you're having the input of a physician.
Spelled wrong, man.
But, you know, I do think it should be something that people are very cautious about doing. I personally wouldn't feel comfortable doing it at this point.
Yeah,
I would call the primary care and say, hey, I'm noticing weight gain's a problem. We've tried other medications. They have not been effective. I really think the patient should stay on this medication. How do you want to manage weight gain?
Yeah, correct. I agree.
Yep.
So I guess one way of handling is, you know, just making sure people understand, like, that's not something you can do on your own. Our rules say you must consult first. Which, if they take the test we were talking about our rules and laws, that is one of the questions on that rules test.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is when you run into a very obliging primary care doc says, okay, sure, whatever you want to do. But they don't want to do it. Yeah, I talked to a primary care doc the other day, and the patient wanted to take Flexeril for some back spasms, and I told her to contact the primary care doc. He calls me and says, well, I don't really want to do that. You do it. And I said, no, I can't do it. And he says, well, I don't care if you do it. And I said, that's not the point. And we do run into that.
I did find one reference to obesity in 6311.
Six, 311?
Mhm.
Sorry, dyslexic moment. 6113. The limitations on practice.
Y'all do it with letters and numbers over there. don't
Yeah.
We're all having trouble today.
Right there in 3.
In 3. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I knew it was in there somewhere.
So they would have to follow the board's treatment rules for obesity.
Right.
Is that just for controlled substances?
No, it's for any, yeah, and well, we have rules for controlled substances, intractable pain, and for obesity.
So it says
Right,
or.
but as it's written now, it only refers to the use of controlled substances. We could modify that rule.
See, I knew I should have been a lawyer.
We could modify that rule to add that any treatment of obesity has
Must
to follow
follow the board's
obesity
rules.
rules. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, let me ask a question. My recollection, and I haven't looked them in but at least 6 weeks, the new rules require appropriate physical examinations, okay? Is that something that you all would be qualified to do?
Depends on what you define as appropriate.
Well, okay, in other words, are you all able to evaluate things like chests and hearts and extremities?
Not fully. No, not fully. We can order ECGs for looking at QTC intervals, things like that, but no, not for other diseases of the heart. No.
Okay. I will I think Pat's got the right way to do this, and if you want to start that change, we can start that change. It would take, like I said, that's not going to happen overnight, but we can certainly issue a statement of position, and a rule change can follow. We could probably get the statement of position out for this August meeting.
Yeah,
And
we can do that.
And then we'll start on a rule. If you want to formally advise us to request a rule change, we'll get that done too.
We can do it at the same time. We're looking to change the technician statute.
Well, the statute is different, okay?
That's different. Yeah.
Yeah, so we change rules. We don't change statutes. We interpret statutes with rules, but we don't change them.
Right.
So I will tell you in that regard, we'll probably be working with Bud next year to get that done in the session.
Okay, good deal.
Now,
This part that we're looking at on number 3, that isn't part of the statute then, right?
So this is the rule.
Just the rule. Okay.
so I don't think the rule has actually been updated since we
No,
made
No.
the changes to the Practice Act 2
Has
years
not.
ago.
no, it has
So,
not.
okay,
So basically, what we probably ought to do, and I'm just going to tell you, is we ought to set aside, maybe start trying to get together for 1 hour once a month and go item by item in these rules and make the rules reflect the current statute and make an overall rule overhaul that includes the obesity rules for GLP-1s and all of the things we've talked about. We could
Okay.
put the additions of the requirements for what the CME for the advanced initial, it can be different from, and that's where we could address all of these things that we've talked about today.
Yeah, and that's not gonna be a huge task because, thankfully, your statutory, provisions are not that long and huge, so it shouldn't require more than a couple of meetings to get that done.
Yeah, that would be great to do that,
Mhm.
just to get it updated. So I'd definitely be on board for that.
Yep.
Then schedule me an August meeting.
Do we need the full board just to go through and make those changes?
Well, I
Can a
think it should
committee
be,
do that, or?
I think it should be a public meeting. I think you need the whole advisory committee, but what I don't want to have happen, if we set a working group, then we're gonna have to, if people disagree in the advisory committee, we'd have to continue to, I think it's best to get us through this as the advisory committee's recommendation to the board
It's too,
to
it's
do
too,
this.
the advisory committee's too small. It's 3 as a quorum, so we wouldn't be able to do it outside of a public meeting. But if your question was, can you just tell us to change the rule and presto changeo, it's changed? No, we do have to have the board adopt that. But I really honestly think we can have those changes mostly ready for your August meeting. I really do. I just don't think that's going to be huge because your statute is not that lengthy.
And the changes really weren't that great.
No.
Now, and this rule then has to be published in the register?
Yes.
It goes through the standard APA process. It starts by a registry publication, then there's an opportunity for a hearing or public comment. Then there's an opportunity for the board to address your public comments, change them if they feel it's appropriate. Then it goes to the AG to make sure nothing in there is antitrust. Then it comes back and then it gets final notification in which there could be the potential for an oversight hearing. And then if there's an oversight hearing, possible changes occur. And ultimately, if it clears oversight, then it goes to the governor for, and then Lauren, if I missed something, please tell me.
Nope, pretty much got it.
Okay, well, let's get started on it then. I'm all for it.
I'll let you and Jacinta pick the day for the August meeting.
Okay,
And
all
then,
right.
and then in the meantime, we'll get a statement of position ready for you all to approve and recommend to the board at the board's August meeting at the end of August.
Okay,
Sounds good.
yeah, I'm not bringing this up to restrict MP's practice more than I am trying to keep people out of trouble.
Mm.
And if there are people out there that are thinking of beginning to use GLP-1s, can I appropriately say that the board is I don't want to say
I think
developing
for the next
obesity.
30 days, you ought not to say anything. Let's just wait
Okay,
and see what the
gotcha.
board does
Okay.
with your statement of position. But you can remind them that they can't do anything like that without consulting with their primary care or actual medical physician,
Treating, yeah.
because that's
Yeah.
already in there.
Okay, all right, that's good. Okay, that's all for the agenda, I think. Open the can of worms with the GLP on there, but that's good. We need to talk about. So I think we're ready to go into executive session. We have one application to review. Motion,
I'll move, go into executive session.
Second,
all in favor?
aye.
You want to switch us over?
I sure will. Just give me 1 second. And if you see leave meeting on the right-hand side, you can press it and get there quicker.
Okay.
Dr. Van, you have to turn your off your note-taking deal for this.
Yep. Hello, Miss Starr. I think only two of us made it over. All right, so we gotta shut that down. Jacinta, are you? Yeah, she shut it down. All right.
Yeah, it kicked me out. I had to relaunch the whole meeting.
Okay, so join at Zoom admit to room.
So are we now in executive session? Are we in executive session now?
The differences between
Yeah, but I don't think all of us are here yet.
Okay. So Darla, maybe you and I are the only ones that are not in, everybody else is in, instead of vice versa.
Warren, you're in the main section. They're gonna bring you back in and I'm gonna change your devices for executive session.
Okay.
Dr. Lowe?
Yes.
Okay, so try to hit the button at the bottom of your screen for the breakout room.
Is that the little figure with the red door?
Yes.
And then it comes up leave meeting. Do I leave meeting?
No, is that the only thing that it's asking you?
Yes.
Okay, let me see if I could, because I have you as not joined. Dr. Van, do you have the option to leave? To go into
Um,
the room?
no, but I'm having trouble stopping it, so I'm gonna stay out. I don't need to be there anyway. I'll get the gist of it when you vote on it. That's all I need to know.
Okay, do you want to just log off and log back on?
I did that and it's not letting me kill it. And I'm trying to get into Zoom right now to kill it. And if I get into Zoom, I'll call you. You can let me in. I'm trying to get into Zoom to change it.
Okay, I'll monitor it. Dr.
All right.
Lowe, can you just log off and log back on?
Yes.
Or-
Okay.
Warren made it.
Yeah. And our cats were not in executive session, I see.
No, they weren't. Didn't hear any confidential information.
Are we back in the public session?
We are.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Looks like everyone's back.
Do we have a motion on the application for applicant number 278609?
Are we ready? Are we back
Yes.
in session? Okay.
Yep.
I would move that we accept applicant 278609 and recommend favorably to the board.
Second,
All right, moved and seconded. All in favor?
aye.
Aye.
All right. Very good. Motion for adjournment. Any other comments?
No public
There's
comments.
no public comments, sir.
All right,
Move we adjourn.
second.
Second.
All
Yeah.
right.
Actually, I don't need a motion to adjourn.
Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it.
Yo.
Thank you, guys.
Have a good
Thank you
week.
for doing this. Appreciate your help.
Van, I'll be in touch, babe.
Look forward to it.
Take care.